in the early 1800s, far across the Atlantic Ocean, in a small village in Bavaria, Germany. A boy named L.W. Strauss opened his eyes for the first time in a world that offered him very little. He was born in 1829 into a poor Jewish family that struggled to survive. His father worked as a peddler selling scraps of cloth, buttons, and small household items in nearby markets, yet, even with endless effort, life never allowed them comfort. Poverty was constant, opportunities were rare, and the future seemed like a locked door with no key. L.W., who would later be known to the world as Levi Strauss, learned early what hardship meant. By the age of 7, he was helping his mother sort leftover fabric pieces so they could sell them. They lived in a cramped home with very little food and very few belongings. But what the family lacked in wealth, they made up for in resilience. Levi's mother always told him, "Poverty is not a curse, my son. It is a beginning." These words would stay with him forever. Life became even more difficult when Levi's father fell seriously ill. Tuberculosis slowly consumed him, and with no money for proper treatment, the family could do nothing except pray. Levi watched helplessly as the strongest man he knew faded away. When his father passed, Levi was just a teenager and, suddenly, the responsibility of supporting the family fell heavily on his small shoulders. There was no time for grief, no time to dream, just survival. So, Levi continued selling fabric scraps in the village market. He would walk miles carrying heavy bundles on his back. But even in these tough conditions, Levi carried a spark inside him, something that whispered the promise of a better future. The journey to America. By the late 1840s, Europe was becoming increasingly unstable for Jewish families. Poverty, discrimination, and lack of opportunities pushed many people to leave. Meanwhile, stories of a magical land America were spreading across Europe. A country where hard work can change your destiny, people whispered. A land of opportunity. Levi and his family made a courageous decision. They would leave everything behind and migrate to the United States. In 1847, after selling every possession they had, the family boarded a crowded ship for the long, exhausting journey. The waves were rough, the cabins were cramped, and hunger often accompanied them. But the dream of a new life kept them going. When they finally arrived in New York, Levi felt as though he had landed on another planet. Tall buildings, horses, wagons, businessmen rushing across streets. Everything was different. Everything felt possible. A new life begins. Levi was 18 years old, with no money, no property, and barely any English. But he had two things: a tremendous work ethic, a burning desire to change his fate. His older brothers had already set up a small dry goods shop in New York. They sold fabrics, threads, blankets, and everyday supplies to the growing immigrant community. Levi immediately joined the business, doing everything from folding cloths to carrying heavy loads. He worked long hours, learned English quickly, and paid close attention to customers. Soon, a new opportunity began to call his name. In 1853, America buzzed with one word: gold. Thousands of men were traveling to California, hoping to dig up fortunes and change their lives overnight. These miners needed clothing strong, durable clothing that could survive their brutal daily work. This wasn't just a gold rush. He realized that miners didn't just need tools. They needed pants that wouldn't tear after a few days. Clothing was tearing faster than gold was being found. Using all the savings, he had everything. He bought a ship ticket and set out on a journey that would completely change his life. A new start in San Francisco. When Levi arrived in San Francisco, the city was chaotic, dirty, loud, and overflowing with miners who were tired, frustrated, and desperate. Most of them lived in tents, cooked over open fires, and worked in deep pits, searching for gold. Levi immediately opened a small dry goods shop, but something bothered him. "Our pants rip too fast," We need something stronger. Can't someone make durable clothing? And he responded, instead of regular cloth, Levy tried using heavy canvas, the same material used for tents and wagon covers. He stitched a pair of work pants out of this thick fabric and gave a sample to a miner. The next morning, the miner returned, this time with 5 friends. They all wanted pants that wouldn't tear. Soon, he replaced canvas with denim, a sturdy cotton fabric that was more comfortable and easier to dye. He dyed it indigo blue because the color hid dirt and stains well. A strong, durable, comfortable blue-colored pant. The miners loved it, but another idea was about to make these pants legendary. The rivet revolution in Nevada. A tailor named Jacob Davis was having the same problem with his customers' pants ripping at stress points. Jacob came up with a brilliant solution. Add metal rivets to strengthen the pockets and seams. But he didn't have money to patent the idea. The letter changed everything. Levy instantly recognized the genius of the idea. He partnered with Davis, and in 1873, they received a patent for riveted denim work pants. This was the birth of the world's first blue jeans, strong, rugged, and affordable. These pants soon became the uniform of America's working class. Miners wore them. Farmers wore them. Everyone wanted a pair of Levi's. And Levi Strauss, the poor boy from Germany, became the founder of one of the greatest clothing brands in history. Success without arrogance. As his business grew, Levy became wealthy, extremely wealthy. But he never grew arrogant or greedy. He gave huge donations to local charities, funded scholarships, and supported orphanages. He always remembered what poverty felt like. He always remembered where he came from. His employees respected him deeply, describing him as a gentleman who treated everyone with dignity. Legacy of a legend. Levi Strauss passed away in 1902 as one of the most influential businessmen in America. But his legacy didn't end there. The company he built survived wars, economic crashes, and cultural shifts. In the 1950s, young Americans turned jeans into a fashion statement. In the 1970s, Levi's became a global brand. Today, Levi's is worn in more than 100 countries, and billions of people own a pair of jeans. All because a young boy refused to let poverty write his destiny. Levi Strauss's journey isn't just a business success story. It is a story of hope. A story of believing in yourself when the world gives you nothing. From selling fabric scraps in a poor German village to creating the world's most iconic pair of pants, Levi Strauss proved one thing. Success is not about where you start. It's about how far you're willing to go. If a poor immigrant boy could rise from carrying cloth scraps in a small village to building the world's most iconic jeans empire with nothing but hard work, courage, and an unshakable belief in possibility, then you too can rise from wherever you stand today. Your circumstances do not define you, or a determination does. Every great journey begins with a single step. Every empire with a single idea. Dare to take that first step. Dare to dream bigger than your fears, and life will eventually open doors you never knew existed.